Buy or not to buy? 11 questions to help you decide. While scrolling through your social media feed, an advertisement suddenly appears showcasing an adorable summer bathing suit. Even though you're not necessarily in need of a new swimsuit, this particular one boasts exceptional reviews, offers free returns, and is currently on a tempting 30% discount. Now you're faced with a dilemma. Should you make the purchase? Let's make one thing clear. We're not here to dictate how you should spend your hard-earned money. Moreover, there isn't a definitive answer as everyone's financial circumstances and lifestyles vary. Nevertheless, here's some insight. Acquiring the ability to manage your finances sensibly, exercising self-restraint, and recognizing when you've reached a point of contentment are incredibly valuable life skills. These proficiencies can determine whether you're perpetually living paycheck to paycheck or if you're able to cultivate substantial wealth. Prepare yourself for an engaging journey of self-discovery in the upcoming video. 11 inquiries to aid in the decision: is purchasing warranted? These queries are designed to assist you in gauging the authentic individual significance of an item under your contemplation for acquisition. Absolute candor with yourself is crucial, given that the responsibility for the aftermath rests solely on you, regardless of the choice you arrive at. Occasionally, seeking advice from friends or seeking an external viewpoint could prove beneficial as well. Let's begin the process, shall we? 1. Does this fall under necessity or desire? Let's revisit the basics of budgeting for a moment. Necessities encompass essential elements required for maintaining a healthy and secure lifestyle. Items such as food, clothing, and shelter are vital for survival. On the other hand, desires refer to contemporary indulgences that aren't indispensable. Elaborate sunglasses, customized car enhancements, or lavish accessories for your pet exemplify desires. While these might be appealing, they are far from essential for mere survival. Chances are your budget currently encompasses a mix of both necessities and desires, which is perfectly fine. Allocating funds for life's pleasures and enjoyable experiences is a prudent choice. However, the procurement of desires should be exercised in moderation, avoiding excess. This should come after ensuring all necessities have been adequately addressed. Should you observe a substantial portion of your financial resources being directed toward non-essential desires, you might be susceptible to lifestyle inflation. This can be a slippery slope, as accumulating excessive possessions can intensify your cravings for more. Hence, consider this: is the item you're contemplating purchasing a fundamental need or a discretionary desire? How much of your budget has already been earmarked for elevating your lifestyle? Does this acquisition verge on extravagance? 2. Is it purchasable without incurring debt? Spending money that you haven't yet earned rarely yields positive outcomes. A cardinal principle of credit card management is to exclusively acquire items for which you possess the equivalent cash. Certainly, certain substantial expenditures like a home or higher education might necessitate financing to render them affordable. Nonetheless, for all other acquisitions, it's judicious to limit purchases to what you've diligently saved for. Furthermore, accumulating debt invariably translates to paying beyond the stated price of an item. While the initial price tag might read $100 at the point of purchase, the inclusion of charges and interest could potentially inflate that expenditure twofold over an extended period. Thus, if the acquisition requires taking on debt, it serves as a clear indicator that it's likely not a prudent buy. 3. Could this purchase lead to financial strain? Expanding upon the previous point, even if the purchase doesn't entail going into debt, it doesn't automatically grant the green light for an immediate buying spree. Typically, when you invest in X, it implies having fewer resources available for Y. Life revolves around making trade-offs, doesn't it? Devote some time to contemplate whether acquiring this new item might burden your financial situation. It could potentially lower your account balance to a discomforting extent, triggering financial unease. We strongly advocate for the maintenance of a 3 to 6 month emergency fund to be reserved solely for genuine emergencies. If you find yourself having to dip into your savings to facilitate a purchase, it's prudent to give serious thought to whether that purchase is truly warranted. 4. Have you found the absolute finest deal? Engaging in thorough comparative research and exploring multiple shopping options can lead to noteworthy savings. Various deal websites and apps can swiftly assist in uncovering potential coupons and discounts. Moreover, a multitude of present-day retailers allow you to compile items in a wish list. This practice serves a dual purpose. Firstly, placing items on a wish list provides an opportunity to step back and reevaluate your intended purchase. Occasionally, a few days' distance can diminish the allure of buying, revealing that the desire for the item has waned. Additionally, many retailers proffer price alerts, discount vouchers, or notifications regarding upcoming sales to those who maintain a wish list. Devoting time to scour the market for the best available price is consistently a judicious approach. Pro tip: even if an item isn't currently marked down, it's worth trying to negotiate for a discount. 5. What are the hidden expenditures? Time, upkeep, insurance, repairs, accessories. These are just a few instances of hidden costs that might emerge post-purchase. While the initial price tag of an item might appear appealing, it's essential to factor in all these concealed secondary expenses to gauge whether the deal remains as appealing upon closer examination. For instance, let's say you're contemplating the purchase of a new television. Yet, upon reflecting on the secondary costs, you realize that you'll also need to invest in upgraded compatible cables, a new universal remote, and a wall mount of a different size. These seemingly minor outlays can accumulate significantly, not to mention the $50 you pledged to spend on pizza and beer for your friend who's helping you install the new setup. Secondary costs could very well transform a $500 item into an $800 financial commitment. It's imperative to crunch the numbers beforehand and factor in any ongoing expenses when determining whether the purchase is a sound decision. 6. What's the time investment for this item? Have you ever computed your individual hourly wage? It's an intriguing mental exercise that aids in determining the number of working hours required to afford different things. Start by dividing your annual income by 2080, which represents the number of hours in a year if you work 40 hours each week for 52 weeks. As an illustration, if your yearly earnings are $50,000, your hourly rate equates to roughly $24. Using this hourly rate, you can calculate the amount of time you'd have to dedicate to work to purchase something. For instance, if an item you desire costs $100 and your hourly rate is $24, you need to put in full 4 hours of work solely to cover that expense. This technique offers a valuable perspective when considering any potential purchase. Swiping a card might seem straightforward when dealing with dollars. But what if the cost involves something even more invaluable? Your time? Does the purchase still hold the same appeal knowing how much time you're trading for it? 7. Is borrowing or renting an option? Before you make that credit card move or give it a tap, pause and consider if there's a possibility to borrow or rent the item at a more economical rate. Opting to borrow items you'll only require a handful of times can prove to be a savvy way of conserving funds while also fostering stronger bonds within your local community. Take a glance at your neighborhood's Buy Nothing group on platforms like Facebook, where people share items they're looking to part with, potentially finding what you need without any cost. Furthermore, in today's landscape, there's a plethora of items available for rent at a fraction of the price it would take to purchase them. Tools, electronics, and clothing are just a few examples of things you can rent to trim down your expenses. Pro tip: an abundance of freebies are out there for the taking if you're in the know of where to look. 8. Could that money serve a better purpose? Certainly, you might have the means to acquire this item without falling into debt or straining your finances. Yet, is there a more worthwhile destination for that money? Contemplate your financial objectives and inquire if abstaining from this purchase could propel you closer to realizing them. Could foregoing the purchase of a new iPhone be more gratifying than saving for an enhanced down payment on that coveted house? The answer lies within your discretion. Here's a beneficial practice you could adopt. Channel the exact amount that the item costs into your savings account. This way, you can attain the new gadget you desire while simultaneously advancing toward your loftiest aspirations. And if you find it challenging to allocate funds for both purposes, consider postponing the purchase until you're able to accommodate both goals. 9. Whom were you making this purchase for? Psychologically and emotionally, who is the intended audience for this acquisition? The pervasive role of social media in our lives today can inadvertently steer our choices, often influenced by what we come across online. After a brief scrolling session, it's not uncommon to find ourselves drawing comparisons with the individuals showcased in our feeds. Take a moment to recollect 2 essential points. A. Social media constitutes a highlight reel that fails to mirror daily life, and B. It rarely unveils the complete narrative. The opulent kitchen featured on an influencer's page might well be bankrolled by credit card debt. The friend who seems to be perpetually indulging in all-inclusive resort getaways might actually be lacking in savings. Hence, ensure that this purchase harmonizes with your core values and isn't merely driven by the desire to impress others. At times, our spending patterns align with a subconscious urge to keep up with the Joneses, even when we're oblivious to it. To make sound financial choices is pivotal to rein in impulsive spending driven by external influences. 10. What's the cost per usage? When faced with uncertainty, I find it helpful to consider the concept of the cost per usage for an item. This can guide you in assessing whether similar past purchases have proven valuable. All you need to do is take the price you paid and divide it by the estimated number of times you intend to use the item. To illustrate, let's say you invest in a high-end coffee maker for approximately $400. However, if you continue buying coffee outside and only use the machine 10 times, the cost per usage amounts to $40. Conversely, if you utilize the coffee maker daily over 6 years, the cost per usage drops to a mere $0. 18. While not an absolute rule, a lower cost per usage can often signify that an item has delivered more value to you. 11. Does it contribute value to your life? Lastly, it's pivotal to consider purchases in terms of the value they bring into your life. Will this genuinely enhance your sense of happiness? Asking yourself this question can shield you from making purchases that don't align with your core beliefs. Certain high-ticket items might appear daunting in terms of spending, yet they can yield substantial value. To illustrate, investing $8,000 in installing a backyard deck might initially trigger anxiety. However, the creation of a space where friends and family can gather, forging lasting memories over the years, could well justify the expense. On the contrary, you might be enticed to acquire a new elaborate dress. Nevertheless, upon reflecting on your lifestyle and true values, you might come to realize that this new dress would likely end up as a permanent resident at the back of your closet after only a few outings. By avoiding purchases that don't contribute value, you can accumulate more resources, enabling you to channel funds into things that genuinely hold significance for you. In conclusion, regrettable purchases are a part of life, yet by integrating these thoughtful spending inquiries, you can substantially minimize their occurrence. Ultimately, reducing expenditure on items that lack value translates to more resources that can be channeled toward your overarching financial objectives and the acquisitions that truly bring you the utmost delight.